Today's webinar, we're going to be showing some things about RUX Rentals and Service, as well as some special toolbox things at the end. Presenting today is be myself and Ben. A little bit about me. I've been in the Navision Nav BC world for 21 years, working with products for most of that, and working with rentals and service for the last 15-ish years. And Ben, go ahead.
So we're new to the RUX family as of July. Historically, over the last 5 years, I've been creating what's known as the Business Central Toolbox. So happy to have that with what Darren's showing today for rentals and service. And I'm just going to take about 5 minutes at the very end of the call to show you one of our health check applications that's great for year-end and month-end close. So excited to see Darren's presentation, and we'll get to you in about 40 minutes.
Perfect. Thanks, Ben. All right, here's the agenda. So we've got 5 or 6 items for rentals we're going to show, 3 or 4 for service, and then Ben's going to do some additional things at the end. We're going to get right to it. We got a lot of stuff to go through. So let's get started with the demo. So there we go. Okay, so we should be seeing my screen right now. And the first thing we're going to talk about is a feature that we've added to rentals regarding continuous scanning. Okay, so if I open up a contract and we have a new action under the line menu called Scan Rental Unit, okay, and I have a dumb scanner in my hand right now. I don't know if you can see me or not, but anyhow, I'm just scanning some barcodes. Hopefully a warehouse user would be able to find this useful. Apply scans to line. Quick way to enter things without having to fat finger type and whatnot. So that one, pretty straightforward. Resolve shortages with substitutes is the next piece. Okay, so I'm going to go back into my contracts. I've got a rental contract that requires 2 units out of the west location. I know I've only got 1. I've already ran the shortage list. Maybe I'll do that again anyways. And it's telling me that I've got a quantity required of 1 and a quantity short, and there is indeed a shortage. So if I run resolve shortages, it brings up my 1 line that I'm short. I can have 4 different options now. It used to be 3. So I could transfer from another location. I can use a sub rental and create a PO. I can purchase another unit. That gets a little expensive with skid steers. Or I can use a substitute. And I know I've got 2 different groups that are both skid steers. So I'm going to use the substitute. And then I'm going to use the lookup in the rental unit number field. And now we can see it's pulling from the Bobcat list. Now it prompts me to ask if I want to use the Bobcat prices or the Whacker skid steer prices. I'm going to say use the existing line, and now all I have to do is run carry out action message. Okay, so now you can see I've now got a quantity of 1 for the Whacker and a quantity of 1 for the Bobcat, and they're all at the same price. And now we're at the point I can go ahead and ship this. Perfect. Now everything's on rent and we're good. We're making money. Should be noted that on the actual rental unit card for the group, I have to define what my substitutes are. Under the related menu, you go to substitutions. And in this particular case, I've got an interchangeable substitution between the Whacker skid steers and the Bobcat skid steers. Easy as that. All right. The next one was enhance transfer to allow transfer to existing contract. I'm going to go back to my contract list. So now, in the previous iteration, if we ran the contract or the transfer, we never had access to this one field here, transfer to contract. Okay, so that's new in this release. And from here, I can use the lookup to select the unit or the contract I want to transfer to, and you can see they're two different customers. As soon as I select that, my copy header is disabled because it's different customers. And now I can go ahead and select the units I want to transfer. I'm just going to transfer one, and I can select the dates. So it's using today's date, which is fine by me. And I'll say, let's go and make the end date sometime in December. Transfer contract. Boom. So now this one is off rent, right? Automatically set off rent for that line. And if I go to my next contract, I should now see that same unit, 002, is now automatically put on rent and ready to work for the new customer. Next piece is rental invoicing worksheet preview posting validation. All right. So this was a suggestion from customers. So this hopefully will make a few people happy. So in the rental invoicing worksheet, everybody knows that we do suggest contracts for the whatever date you want, and it'll go through and populate which contracts are due to be invoiced. These look like they're all ready to go, but I'm going to select all and then run preview posting validation. Okay, so this might look a little different. We've done a few changes to the interface in the rental invoicing worksheet to make it look a little bit like some of the other worksheets that are in Business Central. But under the post menu, we've got preview posting validation. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And now it's going through and running preview post, but not showing you the additional information. And now you'll see that contract 23 has come up with a problem. And I know that for that particular contract, let's go ahead and look at that. Rental contract. If I look at the rental amount lines that are included for those rental units, I'll see that I've got a rental charge, a damage waiver charge, and an additional fee charge. And what the error message is showing us back on the rental invoicing worksheet is the additional fee account must have a value in general posting setup. Okay, so it tells us what the problem is and how to fix it. If we look at general posting setup, we'll notice that there's my missing additional fee account. I'm not going to populate it now, but it gives me a pretty good idea of what's wrong. I'm going to go ahead and reset all of these and do it again. And then I'll show you that it actually does the same validation while we're posting invoices. So I'm going to go in and suggest contracts, same posting date, populates all my lines again. If I run post invoices, oops, I got to select them. The invoices I want to run. Okay, post invoices. Now it's going to go through and post what it can and then mark what it can't as not ready to invoice. And again, shows us what that error message is. So in previous versions, it would have stopped at that error and not continued processing. Now it stops, or it doesn't stop. It goes and posts what it can and then marks those lines as not ready to invoice. So hopefully that'll make some pain points go away. The last thing I'm going to do on the rental side is something called rentals exchange with dispatch. So in order to manage that, I got to enable dispatch for a moment. Okay, so now when I go into, oops, that's service, got to go into rentals. And on the exchange, okay, so let's create a new one. I got to think about this now. I should be able to do it on this one. Okay, so I've got one on rent and say, I think I better create a new contract just in case, since I just enabled dispatch. Okay, so we'll pick a group. I've got some power shovels that are good to go. Okay, we'll say we need 2 of those. I'm going to go ahead and select a couple. And now with dispatch, if everything's ready to go, we release for delivery. Oh, acquired must be going. So I did a poor one. I haven't acquired those fixed assets, so it won't let us do it yet. We'll pick a different one. There we go. Same idea. And we're going to release for delivery. Okay, so now we can go into the planning worksheet, select the lines that I want to create loads for. And now if you're using dispatch correctly, you would assign drivers and vehicles and whatnot. I'm just using that as using this as a illustration for something else. So I'm not going to bother going into that detail, but we can release this. Now this would simulate the driver actually confirming the delivery at the drop-off spot, and then we can post the shipment. Okay, so it gives us the note, shipment's been posted, perfect. Okay, now for some reason we find out that unit 2 has an issue. Okay, so what we're going to do is go into the exchange. Okay, I'm going to select unit 2. I should maybe make that one of those days. Okay, so now you can see that I've got this new field called dispatch delivery return. This is enabled by default if dispatch is enabled for your system. You can turn this off if you're just trying to track the transition or the transaction. If it's already been shipped and the other unit has already been brought back and you just need a paper transaction, uncheck that and then you don't have to go through the dispatch process. But if you do need to actually do a pickup and a return, leave that turned on. I'm going to go ahead and return the original unit, and I'm going to select a new unit from my list and then process the exchange. Okay. So now you'll see what's happened is we now have the pickup has been scheduled and a delivery has been scheduled for the new unit 003. So now if I go into my planning worksheet, I'm going to select both lines and create loads. Okay, so it's created a pickup for the original and a delivery for the second one. So let's go ahead and process the delivery. Same as I just mentioned, we're going to go ahead and just zip through this to simulate what the drivers would actually do. And then the same thing with the pickup. We could have assigned these to the same truck since he's going there already to deliver the new or the same the new unit. And now we'll come back and we'll see that the rental unit 002 has been returned and the delivery is complete for 003. Okay. So if you're using dispatch, the option is there now to handle your logistics through the dispatch module and not just have to do a single transaction in and out. Okay, so that is a quick run through of some of the things that are new in rentals. That's not everything. One of the things I probably should mention is the ability to find as you type. Okay, so now we have find as you type in the rental unit lookup list. That was a pain point for a lot of people. We have not lost the lookup page as well. So both are available now. If you know your unit numbers, you can just type them and it'll sort it or find as you type. If you like using the page like I do, it's still available as well. Okay, now we're going to switch over to the service side of things. And I'm going to talk about...
Hi, Darren. Before you switch over, there's a question in the chat from Greg regarding rentals. So maybe we should check on that first.
Okay, where is the chat?
I can read
Okay.
it out. Okay.
Yes, please.
So Greg asks, can substitutes be assigned directly from an alternate location? Can they be substituted within the group without adding a new group?
So no, yes, they can be substituted from an alternate location, yes, but they cannot be added inside the existing group because they're not part of that group, right? So that's why it changes and adds the other group and modifies the existing quantity on the original group, right? We can't just insert a line into a group that it doesn't belong to. So that's why it kind of does what it does. Okay. All right. Let's get into the service side of things. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the calendar integration for task assignments. So anybody that's using service hopefully realizes that we have what's called a visual resource scheduler that's available, and it is a handy way to assign things to people. I'm going to go ahead and mark. Actually, I don't even need to do that. Don't need to change that. I'm going to go ahead and take this contract and I'm going to assign it to Darren for 10 o'clock tomorrow for the lube and the oil change directly after. You can see it's updating my resource capacity as I add things on there. And now when I go and take a look, because I've set up this particular user with the login that I'm currently logged in with, if I look at my Outlook inbox, there's my new events that have been added to my calendar automatically. Okay, so telling me 18 minutes ago I should have started that lube. Got to get onto that. So that's one thing. So in order to do that, you have to have a calendar integration that is set up through Azure. Okay, so you need to have the permissions set up to be able to do that. And if you have the same domain, let's take a look at the new setup that's on the Service Manager setup. We have what's can do the technician calendar piece where you set up your connector. And again, this is from inside of Business Central. Okay, and then this is where we have the authorization URLs that we take from Azure and include that. And then we've set up to update the technician calendar. And if you're not scheduling it to yourself and you're on the same domain, then you can automatically accept the calendar invites. So if I had dragged that task onto somebody else's profile, then they would have gotten an invitation and it would be tentative in their calendar. They would have had to accept it. If we engage that, then that would automatically accept on their behalf. So that's pretty cool. All right. The next piece we're going to look at is related to overtime calculations for resources on tickets. If we look at resources, I've got a few resources set up, myself included, Catherine as well. And in here, related planning resource capacities, we've set up resource capacities. Okay, so basically a regular 40-hour week, 8 hours a day. Again, in order to manage the resource capacities, I've set up a template with the base 40-hour week, and it automatically populates Monday to Friday for me, and then I just update the capacity. So pretty easy to set up resource capacities. On company information as well, there's also a setting for calendars, and I've just included the base calendar and with Saturdays and Sundays marked as non-billable, as well as a couple other ones like Christmas and New Year's and whatnot. Okay, so that's pretty much the setup that's needed ahead of time, as well as on rental service management setup. We've also got a calculation here. So, no, that's not it. There it is. Project planning line default overtime work type. So we're leveraging the work types that are in resources and using that as a way to dictate what the price will be if we go over our 8 hours Monday to Friday or work it all on Saturdays and Sundays. So if I go into my service tickets, I believe I have a service ticket in here. Yeah, okay. We'll change for a forklift. Let's add a new, I'll just go ahead and add a new work type item here. Fix broken door. Okay. And then from that, if I look at these service ticket details, and if I add a new one for a resource, I'm going to first of all go ahead and select my, I'm going to make that budget and billable just so we can see the prices. And I'm going to select Catherine. And I'm going to say she's working 8 hours. Okay, you'll see the price drops in at $232 and the total price for the whole time pops in there. If I change that to be 9 hours, it splits it out and she's getting paid $400 an hour overtime. She's a very expensive resource, but you can see that's automatically done the overtime calculation based on the resource capacity and then added the work type code. There it is, of overtime. Okay. Now the same thing would happen if I were to go into here and say, I'm going to add a new line and I'm going to say this person is working on Saturday. Well, maybe I'm not going to do that. But the same thing happens if you try and book something on a day that's a non-billable day, right? If I change my work type to Saturday, created a new one. And then apply to template. Let's just do return inspections. Well, that is there we go. 1 hour on Saturday is already coming out at $400 an hour. So it's already calculating the overtime based on the calendar that's set up that says Saturdays and Sundays are non-billable days or non-working days. Okay. So that's the overtime calculation. Image analysis. Okay, so this feature is in both rentals and service. Inside of Standard Business Central, there's something similar on the item cards. And on the item cards that allow you to, oh my goodness. I've got to get rid of some windows here, guys, to get to my images. Oh, there they are. Okay. There we go. All right. So I've set up a Kenworth T800. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and import a photograph or a picture of a Kenworth T800. And you'll see that it automatically tries to suggest attributes. And if you're doing this on the rental side, it'll automatically try and suggest categories as well. And you can see it's already brought in truck as an attribute and red as another attribute. Those are the only two attributes I have. So I'm going to just click OK. And then under related, you can see it's automatically populated for those for me. Okay, so that's kind of a nice little AI feature that's included on both rentals and service. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to talk about is the service. Rentals and service has the same feature. It's a attribute setup and query. Okay, so if I look at service management setup, you can see that I've already identified that vehicle color is in position 1 and color is in position 2. So this is similar to your defining which shortcut dimensions you want. Okay, similar idea. You have to have the attribute populated first, and then you say, here's what I want to show. And then on the service unit list, it automatically adds those fields at the end. So we have service unit attribute 1, vehicle type, service unit attribute 2, color, and those are both filterable. So I could filter on them or sort on them. I can also filter on them. And if we say truck, nope, shouldn't have done that. Let's try that again. There we go. So we can filter on the individual items in this in these lists, as well as the other one as well. So I've only got one silver truck. I think I've got a few yellow pieces. There you go. All of my cats are yellow. So that also available on the rental side. Okay. One other thing I was going to mention, I'm not actually going to get into it, but it's possible now to configure colors in the visual resource scheduler, similar to how you can configure colors in the rentals calendar view. Okay, so I think that's it for me. I was whipping through that. And now we're going to move that to next one. Toolbox demo. Okay, so now Ben's going to show you a few things related to the toolbox.
You see my screen. If anybody else wants to give a little thumbs up react or something like that, that would be fantastic. I'm also going to drop a few links here in the chat that'll help with what we're talking about today. So what I've got up on my screen is called our Business Central Health Check, right? So in terms of the use cases that this can be useful for, we see this being used a lot for month-end close as well as year-end close, just because it's a nice snapshot of different areas of your system, both for areas of improvement, but also maybe just peace of mind to make sure that things are set up correctly, they're in balance, and just to make sure that problems don't bubble up over time, to be more proactive versus reactive. So I'm just going to go through a couple of the most popular features for about 5 or 10 minutes. And if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. So one of the first things that we've got up top here is just a subledger to general ledger balance check. For the bank accounts, we see which GL account each bank account is linked to, as well as the bank balance and the GL balance. So we can see here that I've got two that are tied out in imbalance, and then this credit card is out of balance by about $200. Similarly, down here on the subledger to general ledger balance checks, we've got our AP in balance, technically prepayments is in balance because they're both zero, and everything else is out of balance. So typically what that means is that your direct posting is turned on for your GL account, which we also have down here, right? We can see that AR is tied to customer posting groups. And if I click into this, we see that direct postings turned on. So from a health check standpoint, we'd want to turn this off while we evaluate what is different. Obviously, we'd have to make some corrections, turn it back on to make those corrections, and then turn direct posting off for the future to ensure that these subledgers and general ledgers don't get out of balance moving forward. What we see from active use cases is that it's much easier to monitor this proactively, make, you know, 1 or 2 changes a month or every couple months, then go a year or two not looking at any of these things, and then trying to find a needle in the haystack with you know, a mountain of data. So that's one of the biggest key areas we see. People literally just look at it for 5 minutes at the end of every month. It's a free tool, and it just kind of gives them that peace of mind. We're not going to touch on everything, but we've also got some just standard customer aging statistics here. So who are your customers? How much money do they owe you? Are they a late payer? Basically indicating that their average paydays is greater than their payment terms. You can, of course, click into these. It's going to bring you into the customer ledger entries to see the data. We've got some ship not invoice, purchase orders, received not invoiced, old sales documents, old purchase documents. So again, just kind of a snapshot of a handful of different things, all consolidated into one view. Darren talked about one thing that I see as one of the biggest use cases for getting tickets in the system, which is posting group setups, right? So a lot of times people add general business posting groups, product posting groups, things like that, but they'll forget to configure them with sales accounts or purchasing accounts or cost of goods accounts and things like that. So again, what we've attempted to do here with this free health check is give it to you in a consolidated view. Here you can see if the combination exists. So here we can see maybe somebody added an international business posting group, which would be assigned to their customers and vendors, of course, and they did not create the combinations in the setups. So you now may have customers or vendors with this international posting group. You can bet that anytime you try to post anything to them, you're going to get errors, right? And those errors are going to be because this combination doesn't exist, or if the combination does exist, potentially that the correct accounts aren't filled out. So one of the biggest use cases I see here, because everybody's submitted a support case at some point in their life, right, is support cases slow us down. Even if they're basic, simple things like this that may not be intuitive, right? Maybe for a new user in Business Central or somebody who wasn't involved in the setup in the first place and doesn't know where to look, right? So that could cost you a couple hours where really you just want to click post and get moving. So the more we can reduce the amount of support tickets you're getting, the more your users can use the system at ease, right? And not have some of these pesky error messages popping up. So definitely something that you may want to check out there. And one of the last ones, just for the sake of time of keeping this short, is our general ledger setup versus user setup. So in the middle of the screen here, this correlates to the dates in the system that you're allowed to post to, right? So up top, we've got our general ledger setup, and then down below, we've got our user setup. These work hand in hand in Business Central, where the users will actually override the global settings. In this case, the global setting just allows me to post to literally any date. If I wanted to go back to, 1985, I could post into there in Business Central because the dates are wide open, right? Obviously, that's going to cause problems in your system. So on the note of health check, I would want to come in here at the end of the month, make sure that, next month my dates are updated to, December 1st to December 31st. And then if you need, maybe Matt's doing the month end close, let's say. So Matt would still be 11/1 to 12/31, just as an example, right? So, nothing that's crazy or any rocket science here, really just simple things in the system that you're wanting to monitor and take a look at. The last one, which I'll show you, this is a different app that we're actually going to be looking at on in depth on December 9th. I'll drop the webinar link. Actually, let's see. Here we go. I'm going to drop the webinar link in the chat as well. Feel free to come to that one on December 9th. We're going to be going through AR automation and collections management tools, one of which pertains to our interactive AR dashboard. So here, you're able to click into different buckets of AR, see what invoices that's made up of. We have our past due customer balances. Again, you can sort high to low, keeping this very high level for now, but just kind of showing you some of the magic that we've got here. And then finally, you've got your traditional AR aging with your customers, some information like their phone numbers and contacts, credit limits, average paydays, which we just showed on that free health check tool, and then all of their different buckets. So if you wanted to just see, who's a late payer or who's the most late, you can do that. And then you can also see them in bold and red if they are, massively overdue and they owe us a large dollar amount. And of course, we have the drill down capabilities there as well. So don't want to take too much of your time because I know the focus was on rentals and service, but did want to highlight this. Again, the health check is a free application, which I've dropped some links in the chat too. We've got an upcoming webinar on December 9th, which is going to highlight two of our AR and collections management tools. And then I'll also just go ahead and drop my contact information in here. It was good meeting most of you for the first time today, and looking forward to working very closely together in the future. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly. There is a question in the chat. If you do register and you're unable to attend our December 9th, there will be a recording. So feel free to register for that, and I'll make sure to personally send you the recording after the fact. There is a recording for today, so I'm going to, this was messing me up earlier, but let's see if this works. You guys should see a PowerPoint now, hopefully. But there will be a recording of this meeting sent out as well, and it'll also be posted on YouTube. And then if there are any general questions outside of the things that I showed, either for myself or Darren, you can just email hi@ruxsoftware.com for any post-webinar questions. So, Minnie, not sure if you have anything else that you want to go over today, but that's it on my end. Darren, appreciate your time and appreciate everybody for showing up today and taking a listen here.